Some of them, like Brandon. Oh, beautiful.
I'm getting tired of getting stuff today in the council.
Let's meeting to order, please. Councilman Crittenden, would you do the prayer for us, please?
Well, all stand. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you again for this day of life, Father. Thank you for this great country that we live in. Thank you, Father, that you were with those in District 2 that went through the storm a few nights ago, that no one lost their lives, and I thank you for that. There's a lot of hurt out there. Father, help us as a tribe, as a government, a piece of the government to always be in tune with those that are in need. Pray for our leaders today, Father. I thank you for the good work we've done so far. Pray you'll bless us now in this committee. Be with the chair. Help us make good decisions for our people. And forgive us, Father, where we fail. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Please. Have a roll call, please.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
Chris Lowe.
Here.
Bill Englund.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Julia Coates.
Here.
Bradley Cobb.
On me.
Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Jody Fishinghop. Here. Meredith Fraley. Here. Janelle Fulbright. Here. Don Garvin. Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Here.
Anna Glory Jordan. David Thornton. Tara Kellen Watts. Ahani. John Masters.
Oh.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like approval for the minutes of the March the 10th regular committee meetings.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, vote yes.
Aye.
All opposed? Approval of the March 11th subcommittee meetings.
I move to be approved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. The reports, natural resources. Angela Drews.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, committee members. You have a copy of my report in your package, so I won't go over that again unless there's something specific about the report that you have questions on. And then I do have a couple of things to mention to you that's not in that report. As Mr. Crittenden was stating in his opening prayer, one of the things that Natural Resources has been involved in just recently is we did have some staff that helped with management resources, emergency management, in going over into Adair County and helping to cut limbs and clear some of the limbs out of folks' yards that were down to the point that they couldn't get in their homes and where roads were unpassable. Another thing that I was just recently speaking with Councilman Snell about is in Delaware County there is a lot of issues with roads being washed out, bridges on the verge of being washed out, and so that's something we've been discussing, if there was any ways that Natural Resources could assist with some of those projects. So we had a discussion before the meeting started on that. So we're involved with emergency management type projects. Very soon we'll be working with community services, and we will be assisting with the development of the pad at the Muldrow Community Building. Right now we're working with the environmental program. We started today. We're cleaning up 2 fairly good sized illegal dump sites in Delaware County. We've got men and equipment at that location. This week was the week that we were going to be planting our corn, squash, and beans over in the new garden site, and we've decided to postpone that till one day next week just to make sure that all of this cold weather snap that we've got goes ahead and passes. Let's see what else I've got here. to tell you. I wanted to report to Ms. Fishenhawk or visit with her briefly about the 4 Killer Park. I know we sent an email out to you explaining how costly that project was going to be, and I wanted to ask if you've got a different plan in mind than what we were thinking, because we may be thinking much more expansive than you were. If you've got a plan in mind that you wanted to see done there, if you could put a project plan together and put some dollars to that, we can see why ours is looking like it's going to be much more cost prohibitive than what you might have in mind.
I think there was a misunderstanding because they didn't want to go that big at all.
Okay.
But I will get with you sometime this week, and I will get with them.
And of course, there were some other issues where that's restricted land and it's unprobated, so there was going to be some other issues with being able to go and work on that property, but from the other perspective of what we thought looked like needed to be done to get that stream bank stabilized, it was going to be very costly. So if we can get together on that later, maybe we can come up with a better plan. Another thing I wanted to mention to you guys, I know it has been the interest of some of the council that we have folks that are hunting on tribal property that are not tribal citizens, and we try and regulate that as much as possible. Natural Resources has drafted some policy for our Fish and Wildlife Code that is currently, I believe it's still in the AG's office. These are some signs that last year, I believe Realty paid for these signs with some of their Gen Fund dollars. And what we are going to do, I'll pass it around, it's a fiberglass sign, and what we've noticed on some of them that have been shot with 22s and guns, it tends not to leave as much of a hole and damaged spot as it does when we just use a metal sign. It seems to kind of self-seal. So what we're going to try and do, instead of putting that right on a gate to where it's more accessible for folks to spray paint or just take it down, we're looking at trying to just a few feet on the other side of the fence, post it on a tree. And what we're actually going to do, so that during the next lease cycle, and for you council members when you're out in the countryside, if we tell you it's CMS unit such and such or Kenwood unit such and such, we're actually going to put the name of the unit that we refer to it as, so that you'll know. It'll also be written on that sign. And with this set of signs, we'll probably just use a Sharpie to notate what the unit number is, but we're going to start trying to get those posted on every unit. Now, some places we're successful at the signs not being torn down. Other places they don't make it overnight. But we feel like if we at least put it on the other side of the fence and post it up on a tree that's high enough that they can't just reach it, they're going to have to put some effort into taking it down unless they just shoot it up to the point that it destroys it. So we're going to be making an effort to get that done and hopefully have it all posted before the end of summer. So you'll be able to drive along the countryside and see what's ours. And that's all I have at this point for the natural resources portion of my report.
Mr. Moser, you have a question?
Yes. Angie, I noticed on your report you completed the draft for the walleye policy and submitted it. Now, I don't know if this is where this needs to go or not, but we've expressed some concerns about a game warden down at those tribal properties. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this has been brought to your attention or not, but is that in any type of a budget plan restriction going to go to look at a game warden there to work with the Marshal Service? Or
there were strategic budgets that were submitted during the last strategic budget cycle, mm-hmm. and the Marshal Service turned in a budget for game wardens. Those were not approved simply because we were waiting on to see whether or not we entered into a compact with the state. So that's the point that those are at right now. I probably need to try and see if I can get a meeting with the chief to see if at some point, if we don't enter into that compact, if we're still going to try and do something to get some game wardens in place.
And I'd like to see it, if we don't enter into a compact, I'd still like to see us have I don't know if you call it a game warden, but a person that specifically patrol tribal property, whether it be in Adair County, Delaware County, or
I think we were
wherever.
referring to them as maybe conservation officers was
Yes.
the title
Okay.
of the position in the budget, but I'll follow up on that.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions, raised? Please.
As a hunter and as an optometrist, can I suggest that you, if this is what you're getting, this is great, by the way, except can you outline the letters in black?
Sure.
It'd be a lot easier to see.
Yeah. We'll do that on the next set. I think we've got do we have about 300 of those, Linda?
Sorry. You're going to be able to pick them up a lot easier if it's outlined in black.
Yeah.
They are also reflective.
Yeah. Next time we'll make sure we get them outlined.
Any more questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Buzzard?
Angie, I don't know if this is the correct place to bring this up or not, but I need to bring it to your attention, or at least get some, maybe set a meeting up for the county commissioner in Delaware County about getting gravel. I know this has been a point that's been brought up for the last couple of years, and if I remember right, back a couple of years ago, wasn't there an outline for him to get gravel on the property, but he's never followed through with it? Is that the case?
Correct. And
Okay.
that's, Mr. Snell and I were talking before the meeting started. He just never followed through. And if he needs some assistance with the form or the process, he's more than welcome to come to Natural Resources or the environmental programs, and we'll assist him with.
Would it be possible for me to get a copy of the
Sure.
form that he needs to fill out? Thank you.
Any more questions for Angela? Thank you, Mr. Grace. Next is our real estate service, Linda Dawson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I believe I managed to get my report into the packet this time. So if you have any questions, I'll be ready to answer those.
We have it.
Did we receive title on the federal building?
Not yet. We on the federal building, that is what we had going is the 790 acres in Salisaw Creek. That was one of the ones that had not gotten us a title to it yet. So we worked on that one, and also we were working on the one for the federal building. And they said after they did the one on the Salisaw Creek, they would then follow up to do the federal building. So that's on their next project to get for us. So we should be getting that soon.
Councilman Buzzard.
Linda, where are we on the environmental reviews and archaeology studies on this property up here at the corner at the junction?
That is a good question. Our environmental review that we did has finally passed out of the Eastern District up to Washington, D.C. It's finally been approved here, and they're waiting for an approval at D.C. on that. And in the meantime, we've had some other questions that came up. The Bureau has given out new notices to all the city and county officials, including the COTUA, and we are having to respond to those responses that we've gotten back on that part. As far as we're looking at, the city and the county still don't have a problem with it. But as you know, UKB naturally said that they object, and we're responding to that. And I don't really see that as being that big of a problem. But we are moving forward on it since we finally got that environmental to pass from here to up there. So I think it's finally getting some action.
Thank you.
No more questions. Mr. Cobb.
Linda, what's a quiet title?
A quiet title is where you have a problem with a piece of property. It may have some kind of a cloud that has a stray deed might have been put on the property, or you may have been You may have acquired it through from an heir to an estate, but the estate was never probated, and so you're cleaning up the title.
Do we have more questions for Mr. Donaldson? Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Next, we have Roads and Transportation, Michael Lynn.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'll keep my report brief this afternoon. Just to give you a quick update on our construction projects we've got going. The Daytown Dry Creek project in Delaware County, they are laying asphalt today, as well as working in phase 2 and 3 of the project. They've still got to come back towards the Little Kansas portion on the south end and install sidewalk and dress that area up in there. The sidewalk will lead into the pedestrian bridges that are currently installed. We did run into some situation up there. We had to relocate a water line. That is completed now, so that will allow them to get back in there and complete the sidewalk. Basically, when that's done, without the striping and stuff, that end of the job will be completed. I believe there's still some guardrail to be installed up over the Turnpike Bridge, but after that, then that end of the job would be completed. That job's moving along very well. If they can just stay dry, there's a lot of water going up through there with the rains and everything that we've had. Same thing on Red Barn. That's here in Cherokee County. That's stayed really wet here recently, but they are moving along slowly. They're working on their subgrade. They've gotten some guardrail installed out there on the part that they did finish. They have put the second lift of asphalt down on the easternmost portion of that project and are working towards the west, towards the Hulbert area. Just some quick updates on some other ones we've had in progress. Cedar Crest Road and Cedar Crest Bridge in Mays County. The county commissioner signed a letter, a final offer letter to the resident that's holding out around the bridge and road area. Sent him a final offer late last week, I believe. So hopefully he'll be getting that soon and responding to us. Rice Woodard Road, the condemnation did go through there. We're waiting until April 24th is the last day that either party has to respond to the appraisal that was turned into the court. So April 24th is kind of what we're waiting on right there. Once the 24th gets here, it's my understanding we'll take the money, put it into escrow, or the county will take money and put it into an escrow account, and the project can resume. I wanted to mention, I know I'd reported a couple of reports ago that we had sent out for an RFQ on engineering and design services. We did award those to, I think I reported last month that we did award those two contracts to two different firms, Red Plain Engineering out of Edmond, Oklahoma, and Holloway Updike and Bellin out of Muskogee. We met with them last week and actually assigned 3 projects apiece to each of those firms. Holloway Updike and Bellin will have Northeast Fort Gibson, the Launagee South Road in Adair County, and Kansas Dry Creek Road up in Delaware County. And then Red Plains Engineering will have the Smith Hollow Road project in Adair County, 10 Killer School Road in Cherokee County, and Chewy North Road in Adair County. So those projects will be under design here shortly. And then lastly, I want to mention the Cookson Road rehab is an overlay project that we've got in the Cherokee County portion of that Cookson Road. It leads all the way into Sequoia County, but this is 8.5 miles on the Cherokee County side that will be going up for overlay, and that project is in design. The plans are in review stages right now, so hopefully we'll have that one on the ground here before too long. And then as far as the tribally funded project, we've got one project going to Executive Finance this month. It's the Lost City Road project for Cherokee County, sponsored by both Councilmember Baker and Councilmember Gloria Jordan, and for a total of $177,899 from the motor vehicle tax pool of funds. Councilmember Fraley handed me a request that I just got before the meeting started. I haven't really had an opportunity to look at it, so it may make it to the agenda. I'm not sure at this point. We'll have to take a look at it and see. That's all I had to report.
I have any questions for Michael? Councilman Buzzard?
Yeah, Michael, I think a couple of months ago I asked about signs on the road. Where is that right now? I know we were waiting on something.
The facilities maintenance or management group has redesigned our signs. They do have the signs completed. I went over and looked at the draft sign. The only thing they're waiting on is the seal itself. They were able to make the entire sign all the way from the metals cut out to the vinyl lettering. The signs look really good, but they could not duplicate. And Angela might have a better call on this, but they couldn't duplicate the Cherokee Nation seal, so they were going to outsource that to a graphics design, and they were waiting to get that seal in. Just a 6-inch seal, and that's all we lack, and the signs will be done. But the signs do look good without the seal, but of course we want the seal on there, but we will be getting those out.
I have one more question. Michael, on the Kenwood Overlay Project, where are we on that? I know before you told me we were waiting on the county commissioner to see if he could get some bridges replaced.
Yes, that's
where are we on it?
as you probably remember, Harley. When that project was programmed into our improvement plan or TIP, we did not program in dollars for bridges. We did just program in for an overlay. So the decision needs to be made whether or not we want to go ahead and repair those bridges or continue to wait to see if the county can seek funding. I know here with the rains, several of those boxes I think have gotten clogged up or plugged up, and I don't think any of them are in jeopardy, but I think the water probably overtopped that road due to that. The structures are not large enough, I don't think, to handle the water that's going through there, and they do need to be rebuilt.
A follow-up question for Johnny Masters.
Any contact with the commissioner on that Stanley Road?
Not since we've last spoke, Mr. Masters. Haven't heard from him, no. But when I last spoke to the commissioner, he was supposed to be starting on it. Has he not started yet? Have you not seen any movement out there yet?
No, he hasn't started yet. Thank you.
Councilman Fraley?
Oh, yes. Mike, have you heard anything as to whether Oklahoma has met the threshold for a disaster declaration for relief on a lot of these roads, etc.?
I have not heard the official word yet. I did see on the news and in the newspaper where Cherokee County and different counties within northeast Oklahoma had made the FEMA declaration, but we're supposed to be meeting with a gentleman from the Eastern Oklahoma Emergency Management Thursday and go look around with him while he's doing some of his public assessments. I'm not sure exactly what county we'll be looking at, but we are scheduled to meet with him Thursday. Hopefully I'll know more then.
Try not to forget Saline Bridge.
We won't forget that one.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Cobb?
Could you, or do we need to, or could you, for Councilman Anglin and myself, get the paperwork for that project in Washington County for us again?
The Durham Road or I believe that's what, the Prairie Song area?
Yeah,
Yes.
We're not, thank you. I appreciate that.
Just to give you a quick update on that, I talked to Commissioner Herndon last week, and she hit me up about it and wanted to know where it was at. I told her I needed to follow up with you all and check. I know at one point one of you all had it, and we just need to try to locate it and get it signed.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilman Fishenhawk?
Could you name the roads in Adair County again?
That are up for design that I made? Yes, no problem. Smith Hollow, Chewy North Road, that's up around the Skelly School. River Road, they sometimes call that as well. Dahlonegi South Road, that runs from the Greasy Road. You know where Dahlonegi School's at? It's the road that runs right next to the school back to the south towards Greasy. Yes, those are the three.
Any more questions? Dr. Cobb?
Have you, this is not my district, I think it's Councilor Watt's district, but I was at a baseball tournament this weekend in Claremore, and I always come the back way that comes out right by Ramona down in that whole river bottom, and it was closed. That whole area is just completely flooded out. Have you gotten any calls from anybody up there in that?
Got a lot of calls, but none from that area. No.
Nothing in that area? Okay.
Do we have no questions for Michael? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Your report. Construction and facilities report, Todd Inlow.
Good afternoon again. The report from Management Resources on construction is also in your package. On the first item on Marcoma Girls dorm renovation, the numbers have changed a little bit on that. It's more at 95% completion at this point, and they are ahead of schedule. They have started doing some tear out inside the boys' dorm. So that one's ahead of schedule also because they had not planned on starting the tear out this soon. So those things are moving ahead. We are working on another version of the landscaping at the courthouse downtown. There is another version of the Veterans Center that's being worked on. And they are starting the floor plans on the Tax Commission building. And tomorrow there will be a report out on the new council house during tomorrow's resources subcommittee. So those are some things that are taking place that aren't on your report in your booklet.
Any questions, Bill Jones?
Yeah. Angie, the rumors are flying about the work we're doing up at the gym and everything at the Louis Villager, the Marcoma, and they're saying it's going to be a health flags. And is it open to the public or open to Cherokee public, or what's the story?
I can tell you what I've heard. I hate to do that because I don't have a set of anything that's hard facts. The most I know, it's a multi-purpose health center. And I have heard that it will be open to the public. Mel, do you have any specific details on that? I think the public will be able to buy memberships.
Yes, it will be open to the public. Citizens and their families, I believe, will be without fee, and then to the general public there will be a fee. But Melissa could give all of the details on that tomorrow at 10 at Health Committee. She has more details.
Could you give her a note to maybe bring that into the forefront? And it could be in a report. Anyway, so.
Do we have no questions? Thank you, Angela. Environmental, Tom Hopkins.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen. Our report should be in your packet, so I won't go over all of that. I just mentioned if you'd like to look at the program highlight part where we do our environmental reviews, our lead-based paint, and our radon work. That's not the lion's share of our work, but it's work that's done throughout the 14 counties, so we put that in there because it might be of interest to you. And as you can see, our annual goal, some of these things, we've done so many of them that right now, just barely past half the fiscal year, we've done what we projected for the whole year, but we do a lot of those. We do, like the environmental review parts, we do those for roads, we do them for any trust things that go in. We do it for housing, we do it for BIA work, we do it for Indian Health Service things. So we do quite a bit of those. I might go on about, Ms. Drew's talked that we were cleaning up some dumps with them. We're actually doing it partnershiping with them, with Natural Resources and Water and Sanitation to come up with the work, the manpower, and then we have the money coming part together from 3 or 4 different department groups to make that happen, to clean up some of these dumps. This Saturday, it's not on our report because I didn't have it at that time, but this Saturday we're going to have 4 staff participate in a volunteer thing, I believe in Dr. Cobb's area in Dewey, to have a household hazardous cleanup where folks bring in, household hazardous waste, and we're volunteering to help streamline that and get it going. A few other things that we have going tonight at the full council meeting will be something on there to change our Environmental Protection Commission to where we've normally had 3 commissioners, to boost that up to 5, so we'd have a little bit rounded board for that. Councilman Buzzard has asked me to speak about environmental reviews and lead-based paint, and I think we're going to do that tomorrow in the Community Services Committee meeting, just to give everyone an outline of what goes into that. I'll be brief with it, but just a little bit about what goes into those, some of the timelines and some of the work that goes into that. But that's my report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Have any questions, Tom? Mr. Buzzard?
Tom, I'm just curious about this Ponca City, the carbon black federal deposition. What happened in that case? Did they go for the tribe or what?
No, there was a carbon black facility up there that we had to work with another tribe. We had a air shelter similar to the one we have outside of the council building.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of data, and it goes into federal databases, and they're wanting to question our data to use it. Actually, the carbon black facility, there's a lot of tribal members that live right around there. And so they've been sued, and they've deposed our air manager to just gain some information from him. But he does really well. He's sharp. Oh. Ryan Callison, he's really on top of that.
Yeah, I knew I'd read some stuff about this up here, and I was curious of whatever happened. So they haven't really settled the suit?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
We have more questions for Mr. Halkins.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Yes.
Chairman, if I may, I'd like to been asked to amend the agenda to include this resolution that just presented to us today on authorizing negotiated execution of leases of tribal land. One before us. Amend the agenda to include that as item 3 under new business.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Oh, aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
We have an aye.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Can we have just...
Do we need to back up a hair? May we have questions? Then we'll have our vote. Bill John.
Yeah, I just read this today, and I don't know what the urgency and what is eminently important that we pass it and pass it to full council today. But it would appear to me that we're giving up a lot of what we should do on behalf of the tribe. And so, I'm not going to vote to amend the agenda until I've got time to read it and Todd looks at it and we have time to fully discuss. So that's all I want to say.
Mr. Glory.
Again, that's my concern. We've asked and asked and asked that people adhere to the 10-day rule that we have. And this is our rule that we're abiding by, but other individuals are not abiding by. We're simply asking that this stuff be brought to us 10 days ahead of time so that it can go into our packet. And absent an emergency, we'll have a good amount of time to review it. If we have questions, we can ask our legal counsel. Our legal counsel is not here today, so he couldn't even give us legal advice on the ramifications of what is contained within this resolution. It doesn't appear to be, it's not coming to us with emergency measures, and I would simply ask that this be the resolution that we stop and say, folks, we mean business when we say don't bring this to us the moment before you want us to pass it. I'm not trying to get on to any specific department, but it's become a bad habit. And folks, if you don't put your foot down, it's going to continue to get worse. Doesn't have anything to do with this resolution. I just can't vote for it because I don't see it as an emergency, and I think it's something that could be legitimately put on our next committee meeting. Thank you.
Ms. Fisher.
Yes, I'd like to mimic what they've said. This talks about suspending Cherokee Nation sales tax collections for non-Indian lessees and giving up our authority on leases, and I think it's an important thing that we need to look at, and the reason I'm voting against it is not because I'm against it, it's just the fact that I would like to have time to look over it and decide.
Mr. Hoskins.
I'm in agreement with the previous two councilors and can't add anything.
Ms. Fraley?
Just a point of clarification. It was proposed to go to Rules Committee, and the deadline is today. However, because it involves leases, I chose to bring it to the Resource Committee first. And if we do pass it in Resource, and it will go on the Rules agenda today, which is the deadline for Rules. Just a point of clarification, Bill. John, I thought you said Tribal Council.
Well, I assumed that they were bringing it at this late date so that they could put it on the council meeting agenda tonight.
No, it was for Rules. Sorry about that. I didn't make it clear.
Do we have any more discussion? Now do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, so what's the motion? I'd like to hear restate the motion.
Okay, we're making a motion to approve this.
No, it's to amend.
To amend the agenda. To amend the agenda to add this resolution. Mr. Cobb.
Point of order. Did Speaker Fraley make the motion initially? Has it been?
Kara, second.
Second, okay. Thank you.
So it's been amended, or motion been made and seconded.
Roll call.
Need a roll call. Roll call and vote. Roll call.
Julia Coates.
Yes.
Bradley Cobb.
Yes.
Joe Crittenden.
No.
Jody Fishing Hawk.
No.
Meredith Fraley.
Yes.
Janelle Fulbright.
Yes.
Don Garvin.
Yes.
Chuck Hoskin Jr. Tina Glory Jordan.
No.
Curtis Snell.
Yes.
Chris Soap.
Yes.
David. Kara Cowan Watts.
Yes.
Buell Anglin.
Yes.
Bill John Baker.
No.
Jack Baker.
Yes.
Harley Buzzard.
Yes.
We have 11 yea and 5 nay.
She said.
12 is 14, so 11 is 52.
Takes 2/3 to amend the agenda, which is 12. At the risk of him saying something for Mr. Hembry, who's not here, I spoke to him earlier, he's in Las Vegas, but that's my belief. It takes 2/3 vote to amend the agenda. 2/3 of 17 is not a whole number, it's 12. No, 2/3.
Point of clarification. There are only 16 members present. Does it have to be 2/3 of the full council or 2/3 of those present?
I think it's 2/3 of the full body. But I'm just remembering on my feet here. I don't obviously have it in front of me.
I believe if during Robert's Rules of Order in a committee, it would be 2/3 of those present.
Mm-hmm. I don't claim to be a parliamentarian. I do know that 2/3 of 17 is 12.
You have it right.
And
But it would still be a
this would
fraction.
be more than 68% voted to that would pass for those present. It's 2/3 of those present.
So the amendment passed, right?
Yes.
Amendment did pass.
What was the count?
11 to 5.
11 to 5.
Mr. Chair,
Yes. Yes, Karen.
I move to consider this resolution to be moved to rules at this time.
I'll second
Do I have a second? All in favor?
No. It's just discussion, and I have my hand raised.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I guess I was nodding off or something. Some of us seniors have a habit of doing that. What did we vote on? Did we vote to amend the agenda to discuss this? We haven't actually passed this yet. Okay, I'm with you then.
Now, Kara, did you have a comment or question?
Mr. Chair, I would like to yield my time to Ms. Hammonds to explain the resolution at this time.
Because we had originally intended for this to go to rules, no one from Cherokee Nation Enterprises or Cherokee Nation Businesses is here. This was drafted by them. It came through my office. We made some changes to it and circulated it through administration. The purpose of this is to allow CNE, CNB to negotiate leases at the gaming institutions only. Primarily what this is for now, and the reason that it has come to you quickly is because of the food court leases that are anticipated at West Siloam and those restaurants that are planned at Catoosa, to allow CNE to go ahead and negotiate those leases. What this does would give them the ability to negotiate the business terms of those leases. It would have to go through their board and then would ultimately have to go through the principal chief or his designee to be signed off on.
Does everybody
And I'm
understand
sure that
the
I'm a
amendment?
poor substitute for Mr. Stewart or Mr. Huffman in explaining this, but that's the purpose of the legislation. The purpose of the tax legislation is because these third-party non-Indian lessees that are coming in, the restaurants, obviously don't want to risk anything by getting in trouble with the Oklahoma Tax Commission. We plan on trying to reach some sort of arrangement with the Oklahoma Tax Commission or come to an agreement as to the tax liability on that. But what that final paragraph does is just make sure that there's no double taxation on our lessees until we reach a resolution of that. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions if I can.
Do I have more questions? Councilman Hoskins.
Before I get to my questions, I do have a point of clarification. Did we have 12 votes to amend this agenda? With the ruling of the chair, is that's sufficient to amend the agenda? Is that, I just want to make sure I understand before we go forward.
Point of information, just, I did the math. It's 10.666.
Correct.
So you'd round up to 11.
Okay.
And that's of those presents for 2/3. And you agreed with that. You concurred, correct? Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Hammonds, with respect to the second, be it further resolved, there's a reference to Freedom of Information Act.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that law already have exceptions that would just apply when it comes to these leases?
I think there are exceptions for proprietary information. I think that they just wanted to make certain that these were not treated as public records under FOIA.
Sure. I guess I'm concerned, essentially, I don't know if it's essentially amending that legislation or clarifying it by way of resolution. Because it could be that they don't meet that exception, but maybe some court says they don't, but then we'll have a resolution that says they do, which doesn't have the force of a legislative act, and then we'll have the act that a court might say it does. So I'm concerned about sort of sidestepping the process of clarifying that. That's more of an observation than a question. Then another counselor pointed out to me that in the be it resolved by the Cherokee Nation, the first be it resolved paragraph, it references leases on tribal land. It doesn't specify gaming facility. It does later on in the paragraph. Is there any inconsistency there, perhaps inadvertent, that...
I think it's worded that way because we're not actually talking about gaming facilities. We're talking about restaurants, food courts, those things that are in conjunction and are built to implement the gaming facility. I'm not a business person, but it's my understanding or my belief that that gaming facility is the draw to bring those things in, that, bar and grill wouldn't necessarily go there except for the big draw of the casino. And then that increases the traffic, which increases the favorable destination of the casino itself if you have all of these things surrounding it. So they're not for gaming facilities, but they are for businesses for the purpose of enhancing the gaming facilities. So that's what we're talking about. The particular ones now that are under consideration are in conjunction with Catoosa and West Siloam.
And this will be a question also for the business folks, but do you know of a single instance where the process of getting council approval has proven so cumbersome that it's actually frustrated a business deal, specifically a lease?
I don't know of any instances.
Mr. Chairman, to me, that's one of the tests here. Is there any evidence that we've actually been a burden to the business process? And I hope that the Cherokee Nation businesses will show us that evidence, because I'm not comfortable with ceding a significant amount of our control over this process just on the just because they say it's so.
I suspect, as I'm standing here thinking, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Counselor, but it's not so much the burden of presenting it to this council, but the public nature of the forums. I mean, obviously, if you have the lease attached to the resolution that's being considered in front of council, that's a public record. People know what the negotiations are. They know what the terms are, so that affects C&E or C&B's ability to negotiate favorable terms, their ability to enter into those type of business transactions in the future. Certainly, nothing can be hidden from this body. That certainly wouldn't be the intent. I mean, you have the right to view those, I think, under the Governmental Records Act. We're not talking about that in the exception. We're only talking about the Freedom of Information Act, not your act. And, of course, you have the right to go to those board meetings.
Point of order. Point of order.
Mr. Chairman.
I think we lost the agenda. We voted to amend the agenda, and now we're discussing chasing rabbits or something. We need to get back on the agenda. I think you're right, Councilman Garvin. We had discussion and voted. And it passed. Yes, Karen.
And I have a motion on the floor to consider this to rules, and it was seconded.
So we need more discussion on moving this to rules.
Point of order. Point of order. I think the original amendment, or the amended agenda, was to put it as item 3. Was that not correct, Meredith?
That's correct.
And so we passed it, and Mr. Garvin's on point. It goes to number 3, and it's not right for a motion at this time.
So
it just goes on the agenda as item 3.
Put this on item 3. We'll move on to it. And we move on to new business, a resolution authorizing the placement of land in trust of Tallatasky. Linda?
We have both.
Does that mean that Ms. Cowan Watts' motion ceases for right now? Is that how that?
I'll withdraw it, and it can just be made later. Now, who was the second?
I was on withdrawal.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
In my I-40 property?
No, Linda, we'll try you this time. On the resolution 1.
So is that for both Bill or for the property?
We just passed
We just passed.
one, number 2.
Okay.
Well, is it number 2?
For number 2. which is the 90 acres at I-40, which is in the mandatory trust corridor.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to approve this.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Whoa. Question?
Question?
Yeah. Now, was that not to automatically go into trust?
It is a mandatory trust. We still have to do certain things, but the government can't object to it going into trust.
Okay, so that's just a formality to
Right.
get that paperwork done.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Mr. Cobb.
Well, I have a question, and a lot of this comes from living right by Osage County, so you can understand when we're talking about mineral rights, that's a whole big issue. What happens on this land and trust? I notice it says less and except minerals. Well, I just what happens? Who owns the mineral rights?
Those would be sometimes it's the original allottee may have retained at least half of the mineral rights when they sold it to other people, or other people in the title may have kept some of the minerals.
My question centers around if someone owns the mineral rights on land in trust, they can come in and let's say they own let's say Texaco comes in and says, hey, we're going to pay you for your mineral rights. We want to come in and drill a gas well on land. And how does that work? I literally don't know. You've got land in trust. It's gone through the BIA. It's gone through our department. And an individual who owns the minerals signs a gas lease contract with Texaco. How does that work?
Well, they still can come in and ask to drill on your land, but because you're still the surface owner, they're going to have to get some consents from you as well before they can start their drilling.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Buzzer.
And Lynn, I take it this is, Councilor Baker might have answered the question for me, but this is the money come from riverbed settlement, or is it other funding?
Yes, it is. It has to, in order for this to be eligible for mandatory trust, it has to come from the riverbed settlement monies.
Councilman Roy.
On the surface ownership, isn't it right that if somebody did want to come in and buy the minerals, even though we didn't own any, we're entitled to a percentage because of the surface damage?
Not so much a percentage of the royalties, but we would get paid for some rent for coming on the property.
On these particular two pieces, such as on the Warner piece, were the minerals reserved prior to our purchase, or did we give up some at the purchase stage?
They were already reserved.
Councilman Garber.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Linda, there's been lots of talk about building a prison down around Warner. And could you make a statement that we're not interested in that at all?
No, I don't think we have even contemplated putting a prison on the property we purchased.
Some of the constituents down there are very worried about somebody coming in and building a prison. And I tried to convince them that we're not interested in that sort of thing. And I'd like for you to...
No, as far as I know, we have no plans at this time for this property.
Councilman Buzzer.
No, I didn't have a question.
Call for the question.
Call the question. We've got a have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
You have a second.
I have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Are there any announcements?
No, back.
Number three.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, now we'll...
Mr. Chair,
Who's got it?
I move that we move item 3 to rules.
Second. We have a motion second to move item 3 to rules. Hearing discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And announcements.
Move to adjourn.
Next regular session, May the 12th, 4 o'clock. Is there adjournment? Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.